Okay, as a reminder, should be no headphones. Hey. Hello. Hello. Hi. All right, let's make sure we can that we've got audio and everybody can hear. Can you hear us okay?
I can hear you now. Yep, I figured it out.
Wonderful. We got you now. All right. So, welcome, Ms. Roundy. How are you?
Great. How are you, Bradley?
Oh, so good. Well, this is my advanced theater class. We're glad to have you as a guest because when it comes to theater education, they kind of really only hear from me. So it'll be nice for them to get some insight on additional educators. And let's go ahead and let's start with, tell us a little bit about you, where you're from, where you're teaching, and why you chose this path for your career.
All right. So I did theater all the way through high school. I grew up in a small town in southern Utah called Parowan. I actually competed against Mr. Skinner there. When he was in Richfield. And and then I got a musical theater full ride scholarship up to the college in Rock Springs. I then got married, had kids, and took a break for a few years. And when I went back to school, I decided I wanted to go back into what I loved and my passion, which is theater and teaching. And as much as I loved acting, directing has been my thing. And so then I got a degree in English and my endorsement in theater, and I went on to be teaching for the last 14 years, and I'm currently teaching at Summit Academy High School in Bluffdale, Utah. And so been doing it for a while, and I love what I do. So yeah.
Is that down past St. George?
It's actually north. It's that's Bluffdale, Bluff, or Bluff, whatever, Bluff. That's just Bluff. Bluffdale is in Point of the Mountain, just south of Salt Lake, okay. North of Lehigh.
All right, awesome.
Yeah.
Very cool. How long have you been there?
So this is my second year here. I was 3 years at Alta High School. And then before that, I was in Fremont, California in the Bay Area. And then before that, I was at North San Pete in Little San Pete County, where the Manti Mormon Miracle Pageant happens.
Okay. So next question for you. If we have some students who are possibly considering, some might be thinking of theater education, others might be just looking at directing as an emphasis. Why is theater education a great kind of culmination for those students with those skills?
Wow. Okay. So to me, directing is therapy. It's where I get to create and use. Sorry, you guys are like my guinea pigs. You're my set pieces. You're my actors. And so that's where I like to create. And so as a teacher with directing, I get to not only create things on stage, but I get to help students and create and help them learn and how to grow and create themselves. So not only do I like to create, but I like to help students like you learn how to do that yourselves and help you to see what you're doing. So if you like telling people what to do, but in a nice way, and you also like to share what you're doing and get excited about design ideas and work with other people on their design ideas and stuff, that's where I think teaching and directing both come together as a great path. And you get to explore and the different personalities that come out of it. If you're also game for some surprises along the way and you're flexible, then that's even more helpful, because you never know what a student's going to come up with when they're on stage. And it can be a great surprise. It can be a great addition. And if you're willing and open to let those come in, it can turn into magic.
That's awesome. So let's talk about some of your top lists. So let's start with, what's been your favorite production that you've directed?
Oh my gosh. Okay, so there's a couple, but I'm going to go to, when I went to Mission San Jose up out in Fremont, California, I'm at a school with 90% Asian, Indian, and like white was a minority. And I'm doing Once on This Island to start out with. And I had these kids who could do Indian dancing and traditional things. So I did Bollywood once on this island. And we did it theater in the round, thrust style. So we had the audience surrounding all the way up, and pretty much we had the peasants and everything happening down on the floor, right in the middle of everyone in these bright Indian Hindu costumes. And we're doing Bollywood dancing. And we had gods in like these gorgeous sarongs and serapis. And oh my goodness, it was one of the most magical and things. And we were, I don't know if you know the musical, but there's a song called Pray. And there's this huge storm that comes in. And so for one of our rehearsals, we had everyone just laying down, and we were doing a melting, I call a melting session. It's just mind meditation. And they had their eyes closed, and I was talking them through the storm and the feelings. And it was like a 15, 20 minute of just exploring this. And all of a sudden I said, okay. And I hit the first note of the song, and we went right into the song. And that was like, I wish we could have captured that during a performance, because it was the most powerful exploration of that song. And again, with the Bollywood dancing and the ethnic beauty of this diversity within my cast, that was probably one of the most phenomenal moments that's going to stand out in my entire career forever. So, yeah.
Cool. Awesome. How about most difficult production?
Fiddler on the Roof. Nothing beats trying to keep Fiddler on the Roof. You have to have, one, the right voices, and two, you've got to be able to dance with bottles on your head and do ethnic dancing and things like this. And I had kids who couldn't dance. Like my Tevye could not dance, and he's skinny as a rail too. I mean, he was like 100 pounds soaking wet Tevye. He couldn't grow a beard, and so we made a beard out of real hair. I just created one, but teaching him to dance and shake himself like a Jewish man was probably the most incredibly difficult moment of my career. Like, okay, just walk and step. And then there's the bottle dance, which, if you've never seen Fiddler on the Roof, you've got three guys in beards, in jackets, at a wedding with bottles on their head, dancing with bending down, circling each other, and they've got to keep those bottles on their head. And we did it. We had three guys who were amazing and phenomenal, but we worked on that so hard, but it all paid off when you got a cast of 100 kids and you've got dancing and everything else. It was incredibly difficult, but so worth the effort.
You mentioned surprises earlier. What would you say is your favorite happy surprise? Is something that you weren't expecting from a show or a production or a performance or performer that still sticks in your mind?
It's the silliest moment. We were doing Into the Woods, and our Jack, the cow, just died, and the cow flops over. My Jack leans over, takes the pulse, starts listening for a breath, pretends to start CPR, checks the pulse again, and then all of a sudden looks up and does a shudder. And I thought we were all going to the laughter was about 10 minutes. And I never saw that coming from this kid ever. I mean, it was just like, yeah. And it pretty much stopped. Another moment that was fun was, and they didn't tell me we were going to do this. And yeah, it was performance. And they didn't tell me they were going to do this. We were doing a show called Bull in a China Shop. And these little old ladies have a crush on the firefighter across the street. And so they keep setting fire, or kill, no, he's a detective, not a firefighter. He's a detective. And so they keep killing each other off to get him to come over so they can flirt with him. And so they've got this lady strewn out on a coffee table, and it's at the very front of the stage because I've got it pulled out almost on the apron. So the coffee table's like only 2 feet from the edge of the stage, and we have stairs coming down. She decides that when the paramedics come in to take her, she's going to roll off the stage. I'm in the booth freaking out. The audience is loving it. And backstage, my stage manager's going, "It's okay, we planned it," but didn't tell me. So great surprises, very fun. but can be very scary sometimes.
That's great. So we're going to go ahead and turn now to some questions from our students before we jump back into some other things to talk about.
Absolutely.
Jordan.
Yes.
Okay. Kind of a two-part question, but what's the hardest part for you of like being a teacher and a director, and what's the most fulfilling part?
Hardest part is scheduling. If you haven't noticed, Mr. Skinner has his life like totally jam-packed full, and we schedule out. Mine's the same way. I planned this year's schedule, what I'm teaching day by day, and my debate schedule and my rehearsal schedules and everything else a year in advance. And he's still got a family. I've still got a family. It's like, that's the hardest part, I think, is how do I keep up on my lesson plans? How do I keep up on my grading? How do I still schedule my rehearsal? How do I still make it to a debate tournament? So definitely the most difficult is scheduling. The most gratifying is seeing kids grow and seeing kids who start out probably one of the shyest, least confident, bullied kids become someone confident and recognizing their self-worth and being able to just be who they are and feel comfortable and have a place to be. And to me, that is why I think that's the biggest reason why I do it, is because of that right there.
That's awesome. So another hand. Other questions?
I'm just so amazing.
So tell us a little bit about the educational process that led you to this point. So if the students are going to be looking at, they say, you know what, maybe education is where I want to go. What are some of the classes that they should be prepared for that they'd be taking in college?
So my dance classes, I took several dance classes for my degree, music theory, any choir or band classes that you can take, piano lessons, anything like that is to your benefit to at least play an instrument and know your notes. I took a lot of acting and theory classes, and for education itself, I actually did a non-traditional route. I had 6 children when I went back to school, and decided to, well, I started in education, like, why do that? So I did what was called an ARL, but I still took, I did my master's degree instead. And so I did a lot of how to teach kids, how to reach kids classes, curriculum development, how do I plan my lessons in an organized way. So keeping yourself organized and learning those skills in high school, especially if you're going to be going into education or theater to begin with, keeping organized is a great skill to do. I think my funnest class was a theory class for English that I took, because everything I was doing in that class applied to my theater class of script analysis. I was able to take a lot of the theories and the analysis and cross them over. So taking a lot of literary classes and stuff. I think the other fun one was I took a tech class at SUU for technical theater, and then I got to do props for Jekyll and Hyde at Dixie at the same time, and that was an incredible experience. So taking a lot of just variety of classes, especially if you're going to be a director, you need to be able to know a lot about everything, because if you choose a play and it's going to be about a mathematician, you've got to understand how math people work, and you've got to understand how scientists work. You never know what you're going to need. So a good variety of classes is always beneficial to you.
Good point. Go ahead, Jordan.
I know you talked a lot about like how being organized and keeping a schedule is kind of one of the most important parts, but also one of the hardest parts of being an educator. And so, what advice would you give a type B scatterbrained high schooler that wants to be an educator on being more organized?
Well, I just cleaned my desk today, knowing where your piles are, because I'm very much that way. I've got the art brain. I am nowhere near as neat as Mr. Skinner's room there. His is I've got flexible seating, but my room is a little bit scatterbrained as well. So, and the older I get, the harder it gets for me. When I was younger, I could just like remember things and keep things pretty organized in my head. Now I have sticky notes all over my computer with what to do. And as I do them, I peel off my sticky notes. I do have a calendar, and I don't know if you guys use Canvas, but we have an online system with calendars, or you could use Google Calendar. I put everything in my calendar to remind myself, because I'll get going and I'm like, oh yeah, that thing that I'm supposed to do. So I use the technology that's available to me to help my type B, scatterbrained, totally ADHD mind work, because you have to be almost ADHD to do this, because you've got so many things going on and you've got to switch between them all over the place. And so it's using the technology you've got and just writing it down and keeping it visible so that you can make sure you're reminding yourself, oh yeah, I need to go back to this.
Thank you.
Yep.
So what are some of the shows and productions you've got lined up this year?
Oh, we're doing Into the Woods right now. I just cast it, and we are doing it with a modern feel, but then going sort of pseudo steampunk as we go into the woods. And then those characters that come out of the woods into the modern world are going to take on the modern aspect, so that the two worlds blend. So we're having some fun with that right now. We're also doing Shakespeare Festival. I don't know if you guys, I know Mr. Skinner used to go down to that all the time and stuff.
Some year. We're hoping someday.
Yes. So we're doing Much Ado About Nothing Seen That Way. We're doing it very classical. And then we've got A Night on Broadway. I do a musical review fundraiser dinner theater every year. And we've got Emotional Baggage, which is completely silent, one act. It's completely no words. And then my kids are working on films this year, film projects for the advanced class, that we apply what we've learned for stage theater, and now we go into film acting and how we transfer those skills in directing and stuff. So we got a busy year. Yeah.
Indeed. So you mentioned that for your scheduling and planning, that you were basically planning a year out. So you've already got into what you're looking at doing potentially for next year as well?
Yes. So I've already got musicals and things that I'm thinking about as I see my kids come in this year. And in January, I'll start finalizing that musical and then plan out my dates for next year. We don't have our own theater at this high school yet. They're still working on building it. And so we have to use another theater. So I have to tell them what days and everything I need and get that scheduled before I can even order my musical. So I am planning way, way out to be able to do anything and make things happen. And I'm also looking at my talent and my kids and who's excited and what they can do. And I'm starting to play with ideas already. And then during the summer, I will sit and actually draw out designs and come up with my themes and motifs and have everything ready. So the day one of school, I'm ready with rehearsal ideas and plans and stuff. So.
Okay. This next question might be a bit more difficult, and that's why I want to ask it, because
okay.
This actually comes from another theater director here in Wyoming that's been dealing with an issue that I know we all face. How do you keep students from, once you announce a show, from self-casting that play and then dealing with the potential rejection of not getting the role they want?
Oh, that's so, this was my last week after I just cast the show, in fact. So there's always those kids that think they know exactly what parts they're going to do, right? So I don't even want my applications, don't even ask what part you want. I don't ask what role they want. I just tell them straight up that I cast off of, one, what I see and how well they play with each other, how they look and work with each other, and then past experience of work ethic, dedication, commitment, what I see in the classrooms and their grades. I ask for their grades and stuff too at auditions. So I already know a snapshot of what this kid looks like from how they're behaving in their classes, what their grades look like, if I've worked with them before. And it was funny because the week before I cast the show and had auditions, I kind of listed out who I knew was sort of going to audition and started going, okay, who would I put where? And then the day of auditions came and some kids didn't show up. Some new kids that I didn't know showed up. and I had to throw everything I had thought of up in the air and put it out there. And then afterwards, my daughter, she's like, oh, everyone knew that these guys were going to get these parts, and oh, they knew it, they didn't even try. And I'm like, they don't even know. And so literally I went into rehearsal the other day and I said, guys, you don't even know what I showed them literally what I was thinking and doing. And so I'm pretty transparent about the process, and I'll tell them what I did and why I chose them. That way I kind of avoid, and since it's only my second year here, they're still getting to know me and my style. But once they get to know me, they already know it's a wide open field, and I cast on who deserves, not just who deserves the part, but who's ready for it and who's committed to doing it.
Very cool. Good answer. I know it's always a difficult aspect that we.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
For me, that's probably my least favorite part of the job.
Oh, casting's the worst part. Yes, and posting it.
Yeah.
Post it on the weekends, guys. Post it on a weekend. It gives them the weekend to deal.
Hey, that's what we did this year.
Right.
It wasn't just that I think we actually posted it on a Friday when I had left for tennis. So
Right.
I wasn't even in town, so it was great.
In town. Yeah, I posted it online too. So yeah.
Sarah and I were both dying in your class.
That was
by the
fun.
way.
Awesome.
Everyone was dying.
Any
Everyone, especially
Um,
this year, it was great. There was so
other questions? We open up to the audience. Okay. I think I did have one last question that I wanted to ask.
Okay.
And it was about the process that you use for your musicals. How much of it is when it comes to student involvement for the non-acting portions? How much of your students are your students stage managing? Are they designing? Are they assistant directing? What stuff do you have them doing that they're able to assist with just outside of being an actor on stage?
I open up to everything. Like I told you guys earlier, I'm all about teaching students how to do this. So I have an assistant director, I have a stage manager, I have assistant stage managers. My students are the costume designers, the set designers, and props masters. Pretty much everyone has a job in there, and they're on stage crew, because acting is one part of it, but if you can understand the other side of it and help create from the other side, you're going to appreciate it more. And two, the performance comes out a lot better, to me personally. For example, when we did do a Fiddler on the Roof, my student artist, she got nominated for a set design with Utah High School Musical Theater Awards. I had a freshman who choreographed the show, and she won Best Choreographer from the Utah High School Musical Theater Awards. I have my tech director, my orchestra. Everything is student-led as much as possible. I'll bring in some adults to help here and there, as much as they'll volunteer. But I think that you guys have great talent, and that students have a great capacity to have an imagination. And by pulling them in and teaching them through doing it is the most valuable experience they're ever going to get. And when you're an actor and you think you're better than everyone else, I'll give you a job that's one of the hardest stage management jobs out there, so that you appreciate what's going on, and it helps you to recognize the hard work that goes on everywhere in theater. So pretty much all of my actors are going to get some kind of job along with what they're doing as well.
One more question, or two more. Maya.
Awesome.
So, do you work with the makeup if they'll show on the staff? So, like, if there is one makeup person doing makeup, would you help with that?
Oh yeah. Yeah, usually I teach a course and a thing for all of my actors. I'll show them all how to do their own makeup. They all need to be able to do their own basic. And then my makeup person and designer may come up with a specialty makeup, like for the witch. And I'll teach them how to do the masking, and we'll teach them how to do the plastics and the latex so I teach them how to do it, and then I work with them, and then everyone should be able to do their own makeup, and then they can do the touch-ups and the specialty makeup. And we usually have a row of people up, and we're doing it all together. I'm right in there in the throes with all of you.
Cool. Emily.
Okay, going back to like auditioning and casting, so like when you have students audition, what is like the most important thing you look for? Like what determines a good audition based on a mediocre one or poor one?
For me, the best audition is someone who's willing to play. So I want someone who's willing to adapt and change and be directable. So my auditions will go in and I'll have them do something and I'll say, okay, try it this way. Okay, play it this way. What about this? And then I have them improv and I see how well they work with each other and how flexible they are to taking on different characters and taking direction. Because I can work with someone who's teachable, but if you come in and you're already thinking that you know how to do it and you're going to play it a certain way and you're not open to changing or doing things in a different way, it's very hard to put you in a role that I need to be able to direct and work with. So I like you to be able to play and have fun.
Awesome. Thank you. We sure appreciate you taking some time out of your day. We do know how busy you are, so thank you for being our guest, for sharing some insight and providing a new aspect of understanding to our students. We sure appreciate you. Everybody, round of applause.
Oh, thank you. You guys take care of Mr. Skinner. He's one of my friends. He's awesome. Treat him right.
We like him.
Thank you so much. Appreciate all you do.
Bye.
We'll see you
Bye,
next time.
guys.
Bye.
Bye.